Don't ask me what I'm thinking unless you really want to know. 'Cause I'll tell you what is on my mind, and you might be sorry I said so.
Liberty. Hey, Larry. Grammy.
Honey. Well, $1 to a donut, it'll blow the status quo.
Ooh.
So, don't you ask me what I'm thinking unless you really want to know.
Hello, Raylene. Miss Kathy. K. Shay.
Don't ask me what I'm thinking.
Don't ask me what I'm thinking.
I'm afraid you'll be appalled.
You might be appalled.
You say I piqued your curiosity, but that might just be your downfall. You hold me close enough to whisper. You ask me please to spill my beans and not to stop.
This is from
Don't you say I didn't
my album, Good Woman.
that I made
It's about a woman who says what's on her mind. Here's what she thinks. Are you ready?
'Cause I think, honey, I'm quite the catch. And I think we just met your match. And I think
Sparkling.
you
Tink.
wanna set me up right here in a flash. I know that you're sudden, but there's no fighting my love in you.
This is from my very first album. It's kind of fun. I don't know why I put this on. Just a minute ago, I was in a beautiful mentoring session, and I didn't have a whole lot of time to think about what we were going to talk about today. And I looked at my album and I thought about this tune. It's called Don't Ask Me What I'm Thinking Unless You Really Want to Know. And this was my first ever album, and we have the Take 6 background vocals on this. But it's about a woman, and she's out with a guy, and he says, "Hey, honey, what are you thinking?" And she's like, "I think I'm awesome. Don't you just think I'm awesome?" And he's like, "I'm looking for the door now." She's like, "Hey, you and me, like, can't we be a thing?" I'm going to tell you exactly what it is.
Is I think, honey, I'm quite the catch.
And I think you just met your match. So this is just a little bit of fun to get us started.
You wanna snap me up right here in a flash. I know that it's sudden, but there's no fighting my love in you.
So she's poured out her soul, and now this guy is like, uh-oh, she's too intense for me.
I won't ask you why you're nervous. All of a sudden, I think I already know. I see you looking for the exit now. You say you got someplace you just got to go. You say you suddenly
Based bike rider.
hate to keep running. Oh, you know that don't you say I didn't warn you.
Don't you say I didn't warn you not to
you
ask me what I'm thinking. Don't you ask me what I'm thinking unless you really.
Unless you really
Unless you really.
want to know. No.
Isn't that cool? Actually, I wanted to hire Take 6 for this album. Nothing's happened yet. We were just gathering around this tune. Don't ask me what I'm thinking unless you really want to know. And it's on my very first album, Good Woman, which is a super fun album. And there's a super prophetic healing song called Song for the Sower, and a lot of other really good, fresh music. But I wanted to Take 6 off on the album, and I couldn't afford them. But I did hire this amazing vocal arranger who did Take 6 like backgrounds on the tune Good Woman, and on this one, Don't Ask Me What I'm Thinking Unless You Really Want to Know. So here's what we're going to chat about today. What happens when you say what you really are thinking? What happens when you really put it out there? and you don't get the soft landing you expected. What happens when you take that moment to post that post, to tell that story, to speak that prophetic word, to share your heart and life as a person in process who is in thank you, two purple shoes, who is in the process of becoming authentic, developing a voice, and overcoming the fear that has kept you quiet. What happens? There are people who make it look really easy. The people who stick their necks out on social media, the people who go, I don't care what anybody thinks about me, and the dillies of the world, the different people who seem to never get their knickers in a twist, and they're able to put it out there, the prophetic voices that speak, the people that are courageous in communication. They make it look so easy, but we all have those moments. What am I thinking? Well, thank you, Rocket. I appreciate the soft landing there, but I want to share with you that we all, no matter who we are, go through the moment when we actually said what we meant. And Elephant's faithful 100%. I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. And and it leaves our mouth. The prophetic word leaves our lips. The pain of what somebody has done to us, we've actually dared to speak to it. Someone has asked us how we are, and we dared to say, I'm actually not doing very good today. Thank you. When somebody says, oh, I hope I didn't step on your toes, and we dared to say, well, actually, you violated a boundary. When it comes out, when we actually confront a situation, when we actually make a post, when we actually refuse to be censored, when we actually say no to the mask or to the whatever we're being pressured to do, hey, preacher's kid, yeah, RM John, thanks for the share. There's a moment in time when we all feel that, I can't believe I just played the song, all right, Liberty Joe? I can't believe I just confronted the unbeliever and called something out. I just asked somebody if I could pray for their healing. I just wrote the article. I did not concur with the group. I put it out there. I said what was authentic and true. And there is a moment for each of us when that thing leaves us, and we experience a kind of vulnerability that all courageous people must ride through. Have you noticed that when you are in conflict with someone and you're really mad and you're ready to let them have it, and you write your email, I can't believe you did that, or I need to address this, or no, you really put your firm no out there, you express what was not okay, and you put it out there. And when you actually hit send, even though they're in the wrong and you've let them have it, you've done your word, you've done your work, you've said what needed to be said finally, and you said, I will not allow that, or here's what needs to happen, or here's what I want to do and I don't want to do this, or I need you to understand this, or here's the point I have to make. Have you noticed that the minute it leaves and you hit send, there's a strange, empty void of vulnerability when we cast the bread upon the waters? This, my friend, we need to understand. There is the moment of getting us ready for the risk of speaking the truth, of being known, of being in vulnerability, of daring to reach into the prophetic. And that is a grave moment before feeling, right? But we often don't understand that there is even greater vulnerability in the just after, isn't there? In the letting it land, Oh, wait, let me get it back. I don't know if I should have said that. Uh-oh. And I want to encourage you that it's worth learning how to let things land. It's worth learning how to let your intentional risks and even your not so intentional exposure points where you're opened up and people get to see where you really live and how you really felt and where you are with your gift and how undeveloped you are in some area of your life, but there you are. It's out. Now, whether you planned it or you didn't plan it, it's out there. And we need to learn the grace of letting ourselves land, our words land, our risks land, our relational conflicts land, and to let God meet us in the moment when it's left, when the obedience has taken place, when the friendship has been stretched, when we've said what needed to say, when we dared to confront, we dared to deal with something, we went against the grain. And part of the grace of learning a fear-free life is learning to let things land, and learning that if it doesn't land where we think it's going to land, in the way we hoped it would, and then it wound up stirring up more trouble, more difficulties, and we step into disappointment, that we can be okay. There's a lot of fear that leads up to the act, and then there's anxiousness that leads up to what's going to come back to us as a result, right? And this is the beauty where we learn that as people in process with all of these things we're dealing with, whether it's something you feel called to deal with right now in the result of the chaos and the crisis we're in, or it's just you're in a growth pattern, and we're kind of going back now to some mentoring and coaching on fear-free living today, is that we have to allow ourselves to land as we are. You know, one of the things that I've struggled with is that you know, I'm a producer and an artist, and I've produced albums with Grammy-nominated performers on them, and I work to a very high level of production excellence in photography, in the fonts, the content, the music, the tracks, the marketing, and so forth. I'm not saying I'm super hyper commercially successful, but I do know how to create excellent projects. Like my CDs are all high level excellence on every level, and the way that they were artistically conceived of, and for the most part, sure, I do some things differently, but for the most part, in each season, they represented a higher benchmark of excellence. Okay, and so when it came, for example, to doing these kinds of things, I'm as shocked as anyone that I'm on social media, because this doesn't allow me. I mean, there's lighting that's better and more flattering, and there's things that I prefer to do to make the voice sound better and, you know, have a nicer background. But there's a sense in which when you show up here and in modern media connection settings and communities, people are going to see and notice I'm no spring chicken anymore. They're going to be able to see and discern the imperfections in my process, my delivery, my appearance, the production quality. It's now more than ever, there's a level of authenticity and vulnerability in bringing ourselves to these kinds of experiences. And this is the landing place. This is where you have to land, and we have to land and say, but it's true. It's just true. I am only where I am. I can only be as far along as I have gone. I am the age I am. I have the baggage I have the strengths I have the weaknesses I have, and it's all there. It's just true. It's just true, and in the light of a higher truth, which is the reality of it is He who works within me to will and to do according to His good pleasure. And I'll tell you, the best scripture I can give you and the best mentoring tip I can give you for your landing vulnerability as you've risked is Paul says, by the grace of God, I am what I am. And His grace to me is not without effect. So you stepped up and you spoke. You said your truth. You dealt with your stuff. You took your risk. You dared to express, to feel, to share, to weep, to confront. That's step one of fear-free living, right? The do something that scares you. The step two is learning to settle into it's where I am. This is where I land. I land in little Julie Lavender from Bakersfield, California. Born here in this decade with these issues and this weakness and this strength. And this is real. This is authentic. So as much as I would like the world to see me without the issues and the wrinkles and the crinkles and the cankles and the yankles and the immaturity or the brashness or the sinfulness, in order for me to be free, I must come to you as I am and be seen and known as I am. Not as I want you to see me, not as I hope I would be. And that means that coming back from my big, dramatic, exciting, courageous risk, even as small as it may be to the world, I learned to land in the reality of where I am in the process and go, that's good enough. Because by the grace of God, I am where I am. And his grace to me is not without effect. In other words, it's pretty dang good that I'm here. This is pretty dang good. You don't know me without the grace of God. And so I want you to receive that in the midst of the authenticity of your humanity, in your risking, that you land in a place that you got to learn to land and learn to let God meet you in the vulnerability after the risk, after the words, after you've put it out there and the slings and arrows start coming back and the responses, and you don't get the moment, you deliver your big thing, your word, and somebody goes ho-hum, or you pray your prayer of faith and you don't get to see exactly what God did in the moment, or you call out something and you have to change your relationship, and instead of someone working with you, they dump you. And instead of feeling good about the way you sang, you go, well, that sucked. Instead of getting the response like to my work, I think guys, I told you this. When we were shopping around this album in LA, Never Felt the Sun, and this is phenomenal music on here. Hubert Laws, who's an internationally recognized flute master, is on this album. He's known worldwide, plays with orchestras as well as being a jazz artist, and also Hugh Martin, who wrote all the music for Meet Me in St. Louis, was a personal friend of mine, and he wrote an arrangement of a song and played piano on this album. He was Judy Garland's accompanist and mine. And we took this album and we shopped it around in LA to try to get distribution. And this attorney came back to me and said, well, we shopped your album. Nobody was inspired, moved, touched, or intrigued. Those are my big words. Because I remember telling the attorney, look, I really believe what I was saying, there's anointing on this, and this is going to touch people's hearts. And I believe if we get it in the right hands, they're going to recognize the anointing, right? So she sent it out to all these record company labels. I got the letter. I just want you to know I've sent it to Capitol. I've sent it to Verve. I've sent it to these blah 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 blah, and no one was touched, moved, inspired, or intrigued. I was like, oh my gosh. I remember thinking, I'm dead. This is it. I mean, I was out there. This is it. And this is where God meets you in the landing after the risk to say, I'm with you. I am in you. I am in you and with you and for you in the process of your obedience to do what scared you and to risk. And you know what? This is part of where the rubber hits the road. The meat is in the street. The process of the risking, the giving, the doing, and then allowing it to land and find out that you are in the grace of God, no matter how messy or disappointing that aftermath of your risk is. By the grace of God, you are what you are right now, in this moment, and His grace to you is not without effect. And you learn to find Him after the risk. And then something enlarges in you and you stretch open and you go, I made it. I actually got to look that response to my risk and my obedience and my heart. And it might have been downright ugly, but I survived. I got past it. I was okay. It didn't kill me. It didn't destroy me. And if it did, then I just go back and get some inner healing work. Right? It just becomes an aperture for healing. If you have a devastating moment, there's a reason why it seems so devastating. Because there's something at the root of that experience that reminds you of something else that God wants to heal, usually in the past. Or maybe you get some inner healing because somebody's cruel to you in your moment of vulnerability. And that becomes your opportunity to overcome their cruelty and overcome their tone deafness to your vulnerability and your gift to them or your desire. Or you find out, wow, I reacted and I did it kind of backwards. I kind of didn't really do, I didn't do that in excellence, but I did it and I moved forward. I said what I needed to say. I got it out, and maybe I needed to be messy and difficult to deal with in order to just get it out. Maybe I needed to be that person who the toilet paper was on my shoe in the room when I walked out of the bathroom. Maybe I needed to be the person in the conversation whose fly was open. Maybe I needed to be there so I could see what was in my heart. Maybe I gave it my best, but I had to be the one who like, ever sit in church and realize that you didn't comb the back of your head, like out of bed in the morning? The people sitting behind you are looking at your bed head. Some days, my friends, in order to live a fear-free life, you have to be the person who shows up with the bed head, with the fly open, with the toilet paper hanging out of your skirt out of the bathroom. It's just the way life works. And you give it and you do it and you risk it and you say what's on your heart, your mind. You step into a moment of authenticity with what you're bringing to the world. And it just doesn't turn out to be all lovey-dovey. And you need to land in His hands and let Him bring the deepest harvest out of that experience for you. And find out you're going to be okay, that it didn't kill you, that you're an overcomer, that you have more to give, and you'll give it better next time. And I found out that I didn't really care what Miss Attorney or Verve Records thought of my album. And over the long haul, I got back all the power that I was to the music industry to define me and to market me and to tell me what I needed to do and what was valuable to them. I gained so much by not having as soft a landing for my risk as I would have liked. So, I don't know if that's helpful to you. This is my album again. I'm going to play this song. Don't ask me what I'm thinking. Don't ask me what I'm thinking unless you really want to know. This is all about a woman who says what she really wants to say and then regrets it afterwards. We all feel that, but let it be a humorous way to cope with the process of risk.
Don't ask me what I'm thinking.
And find out
Unless you really want
where you are is where you are. And God's been in the process of getting you there. And He's going to get you farther, bigger, stronger. Yes, $1 to a donut. When you hear what I have to say, it will blow the status quo. Don't ask me what I'm thinking.
Unless you really want to know.
It's kind kind of a funny song, but it applies to our general theme today.
Don't ask me what I'm thinking. I'm afraid you'll be appalled. You say I piqued your curiosity, but that might just be your downfall. You hold me close enough to
Background
whisper.
vocals are killer on this, huh?
You ask me please to spill my beans and not to stop.
Don't you say I didn't warn you. I'm gonna spill all my beans. Okay, here's what she really thinks. Here's what she thinks.
'Cause I think, honey, I'm quite the catch. And I think you just met your match. And I think it's time that we were attached. You wanna snap me up right here in a flash. I know that it's something, but there's no fighting my love in you.
Again, this is the moment when in immaturity we put out there something that isn't all polished and perfect and leaves us in vulnerability. Can we even have a sense of humor about that process? Well, you all know now where I stand. You all know where the bodies are buried now. You all know the imperfections. Welcome to humanity, right? We got to be able to have a sense of humor to land in the process of we're going to be okay. We're going to get past it.
Exactly what it is I think. Honey, I'm quite the catch. And I think you just met your match. And I think it's time that we were attached. You want to stand me up right here in a flash.
Good, Karina.
I know that it's something, but there's no
So she tells this guy that she thinks she's great and he should dig her, and he's looking for the exit. He's like, how fast can I get out of this date?
I won't ask you why you're nervous. All of a sudden, I think I already know. I see you looking for the exit now. You say you got someplace you just got to go. You say you suddenly remembered. You hate to even run. Only you know it down. So
He's trying to get out of this.
don't
Don't say I didn't warn you, okay? Not to ask me what I'm thinking. Don't you ask me what I'm thinking. Unless you really don't ask me.
Unless you really don't ask me. Unless you really want to know. No.
That's a way that I learned writing that song to cope with some of my immature disclosures in life. I wrote that song based on being someone who had so many times put it out there and wound up feeling like such a jerk. That's part of overcoming, being able to look at where we are in the process and go, I know there's a better way to do this. Or maybe I did it good and somebody didn't receive it. But you know what? I'm human and I'm in process. By the grace of God, I am what I am, and his grace to me is not without effect. Can you continue to go do things that scare you, knowing that afterwards you'll have to learn to land in grace for yourself and other people? I believe you can. I'll see you guys.